Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Fratello Talks. I'm your host, Nacho, and this week I'm joined on location by my colleagues,
Daan.
and we have a special episode today. We just saw a lot of new watches.
Yes.
We're wearing some of those new watches,
Yes.
actually. And we're going to be going through some of these novelties that have been shown to us by Swatch Group brands. But before we do that, let's of course start with the wrist check. Lex, what is that on your wrist?
I have no clue. No, it's a Certina. It's a DS Action. It's a GMT watch.
Flyer GMT.
It's a Flyer GMT.
Very
And
nice.
let me just quickly check the price for you before we get into it. So here it is. It is the DS Action GMT Powermatic 80. It's a 41 millimeter watch, and the price of this, I think, quite stunning watch is 1,170 euros. You get, as you said, a Flyer GMT for that money.
Fantastic.
A
And-
two-tone.
A
And it's
two-tone
two-tone
Flyer GMT,
Yeah.
which is PVD gold, and we had seen a version of this with a black and green colorway
Yes.
on the bracelet. We also saw another colorway which had a sunburst blue
Yeah, there was a
with
Pepsi
a bit
kind
of
of,
a Pepsi
yeah, there was
kind of bezel configuration. But this
Pepsi
was the
Max.
standout for you. This
is
sort
the
of
favorite.
root
Yeah,
beer
also-
adjacent.
Yeah, exactly.
on
So
the
it
leather
has
strap.
distinct root beer vibes. I also kind of like it that this is on a brown strap, a leather strap,
with
they
a
got
regular
the-
pin buckle,
Yes,
which is nice.
no frills. It's just it's a. I mean, for a Flyer GMT,
200 meters.
exactly.
Stainless steel Powermatic 80 movement, probably
Yeah,
with some
yeah,
sort of.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you have the. Do you have the movement? Do you know what it is?
It's a Powermatic 80.
It's a Powermatic 80, but with the added
It's a nice.
GMT functionality.
It's a sapphire glass bezel.
Mhm.
So it's not ceramic; it's sapphire glass, which gives it a little bit of a shiny touch.
Very nice.
It's I'm
Very impressive, for
very
sure.
fond
Really
of this one.
nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Perfect. And Dan, what is on your wrist? Also something new.
I am wearing something new as well, indeed. It's the Tissot Sea Star in
Mhm.
40 millimeters.
Famous
one-
name.
nice.
Famous
This-
name.
Exactly. And this one is black DLC coated.
Mhm.
Isn't it
and-
PVD? Is it DLC?
I think
PVD.
Yeah.
PVD, sorry.
Yeah.
And it has a
One or
blue,
the other.
blue fume and also brushed dial. But especially the size surprised
Yeah, it's
me.
a great
Really
size.
nice.
40 millimeter.
Yeah, it's on a black tropic strap.
It's a mix of retro
And,
and new.
Yeah,
It's nice. It's a kind of
for those who will ask, it's around 12.8 millimeters thick and 46 millimeters lug to lug.
Yes.
but that's measured
good
with
to
a
know.
plastic tool,
It's
right?
measured with a caliper.
a plastic
A
caliper. So
yes.
you could be
Dubious
a,
origin.
a tenth of a millimeter.
It's
To the
not-
left or
it's
the
not.
right.
But just
But-
people always ask.
Yeah.
It's good to give them those. Those
and what I
dimensions.
do know is that it costs 795 euros.
Yeah, that's
And that's actually a very good price for
really
a
not
watch
bad.
that is this good.
that's
Yeah.
a very nice
It's really
summer watch,
nice.
I would say.
It has
Look at
a
that.
mineral crystal inlay, bezel inlay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
Maybe this is also mineral
But,
crystal instead of
No,
sapphire.
that was
No, no, it's
This is
sapphire.
sapphire
That
because
was
Certina
sapphire.
does sapphire and
Yeah, as part of their.
Tissot
Yes,
has a
exact-
mineral
yeah.
crystal in the bezel and but a sapphire crystal
Yeah.
up top and also on the
Fantastic.
bottom
Right,
to see
right.
But yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, very very cool. Also available in like a steel version.
Yes,
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
with the-
bracelet
with the
and,
black dial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a couple of other
and green.
colorways.
Yeah.
Very nice. And I'm wearing something a little bit less new, which is the Hamilton Khaki Aviation. I believe this is the 42 millimeter model, and I just like that khaki green dial, and it's cool. It brings the size a little bit down. I believe that their previous khaki aviation models were a lot bigger, scratching 46 millimeters, and then this, I have to say, 42 for a pilot's watch. I thought, looking at it off my wrist, it's a little big, but actually, I have to say, on the wrist, it's not bad at all.
Wears
It's
well, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
fairly slim. Also Powermatic 80, but with a day date on
Ah.
the dial, which is quite nice. And just
What I really like is the indexes on the
Yeah.
quarters.
Yeah.
They're not like applied, but they're also not. Well, they're printed, I think,
Yeah.
with luminous material.
Yeah.
But they're also etched, so it looks like they're like inlays in the
Exactly.
dial.
Yeah, they're like
It's
a
really
little
nice.
bit deeper into the dial, and they
Yeah.
cut into the rehout as well,
Exactly.
which is
Yeah.
nice. It's a nice touch. Lots of nice touches. This also has the Tissot that you're wearing also has a really nice rehout. It has a
Yeah.
bit of a
Yeah.
like a scalloped
Curved.
scalloped kind of
Yeah.
vibe, and it the indexes also
Yeah,
sort
they
of,
purge into the
peek into it. Very nice. So
Yeah.
we had a look at a lot of watches today. We
Yes.
saw a lot of new launches. By the time people are listening to this, they should know that, of course, all the embargoes will have lifted for these watches. Yeah, we will launch this as soon as the last of the embargoes is up. So some of them will no longer be new by the time this comes out, but most of these will be still
Yeah.
relatively fresh in our memories. So what should we start with? Should we start from what we first saw? We saw a brand that I think maybe none of our readers and perhaps some of our readers will be familiar with, but that we were not overly familiar with, which was Balmain.
Yeah. Well, I would like to start talking about Balmain watches with a little bit of an anecdote from a very, very long time ago.
Go right ahead.
When
Lance.
I was still in high school. I was slightly in love with a classmate of mine, but I was not actually in love with the classmate, but I was more in love with the way she smelled. And the perfume she wore that I was in love with was Ivoire de Balmain. So
Okay.
Balmain always will have a special place in my heart.
It sparks happy memories.
It sparks,
Exactly.
definitely sparks happy memories. And with that in mind, I stepped into the room filled with the Balmain watches. And I didn't smell the Ivoire.
no.
But
There was no smell.
but I learned that they have 65 points of sale in the Netherlands.
Yes, perfect. And a new addition to the collection of stone-dialed watches.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah,
The
which
stone
was
dialed
a,
watches
yeah.
were cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they had a malachite. I think there's no precious metal at this price point. I think so. The point of the brand, right? It's to
400
offer,
to 800 euros.
exactly,
Yeah,
and to offer
approximately.
Swiss-made quartz watches, mainly for the
Females.
ladies out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, female
Or
female
people
watches.
with a
Small
female
watches.
taste.
But they also have a men's collection, and hey, in the end, anybody can wear whatever they want.
Yeah, and
so-
especially the rectangular ones can also be for men. I think.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The
Very
one
nice.
with the moon face.
The moon face was really nice.
absolutely.
I didn't quite get the name of that watch.
Me neither.
No.
But we will look that up.
Exactly. We'll put it up on the screen.
Yeah, we'll
People-
put that
people
up
are
on the
looking at it
screen.
now.
No.
But yeah, no, it was certainly an interesting brand to have a look at, and obviously offering something quite in that sort of high value segment.
Yeah,
quartz
it's we were not allowed to call them fashion watches because
No.
they're Swiss-made watches, but of course, and they're also not the same brand anymore as Balmain, the haute couture house.
correct. Yeah.
But still, there is, of course, hey, if you have the name Balmain, you will still have a little bit of that link.
It's
and,
gonna
and if
be-
you look at
yeah.
the collection, there is this fashion vibe.
Yeah, and some
to it.
callbacks to the
Yeah,
fashion
exactly.
brand, right?
So
we saw some
um,
signed
well,
clasps
it was
and that
it
kind
was
of thing.
it was a nice start of the
Yeah.
day, I have to say.
For
Yeah,
sure.
Pierre
And-
Balmain's name is still on the back of
Yeah,
the
that
case.
was yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
absolutely. So an
Yeah.
interesting brand, and then we swiftly moved on to
Rado.
Rado.
Yeah,
And
completely
Rado,
different.
Rado was, as always, quite impressive.
That's the whole thing with Rado. I
Yeah.
think if you talk to people from Rado and they start talking about the way that the ceramic cases are being made, then yeah, it is impressive.
For sure.
It's
Yeah, especially when we saw like how the cases are
don't we
being
have
made.
that? We have that.
Yeah,
here.
we have
we
that
can, we
here.
can
we
even
have
quickly show that.
back here. Well, we'll have it up
Yeah.
up on the screen so as not to
No,
fiddle
it-
around
but-
too much. But it's very impressive. You were there. You
Yeah,
were
yeah.
at,
I was at the Comadour in
yeah.
Le Lochlis, where they make the cases, and it's one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen. How they come from a powder to an almost indestructible, unscratchable watch case.
Absolutely.
And that
But they don't just make them for Rado.
No. They make them. They make them from Omega. They make for a whole bunch of Swatch Group brands. And
Well,
what
I
I
like-
think is
yeah.
important is because people need to know. Watch geeks need to know how technical these cases are and how impressive it is what they do in there.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating stuff.
The fact that the case's shape is extruded at I don't know how many times the size.
The
Yeah, like
size,
five,
yeah.
five times,
Yeah,
I think.
Five times the size,
And
and
then
then it's compressed
It
down,
shrinks
and it
in
shrinks,
the oven.
and you have to obviously maintain then the dimensions necessary for the
Insane.
movement to fit in, for the pushers to fit
Yeah.
in, for the crown to fit.
Yeah.
It's truly
Yeah.
it's completely nuts.
And then, of course,
But
if
very
you
impressive.
if you see these, you have these Rados. They are ceramic, but they have this metallic shine.
Yeah.
This they look like they're made of metal, and then you put the ceramic case. You put it in a plasma oven.
Yeah.
And then you heat it up to a temperature hotter than the sun, and then they come out looking like a metal. It's just
And
it's
extremely
insane.
durable.
Yeah. It's extremely durable
and scratch resistant.
Yeah,
and
it's-
very impressive.
Of course, you have to like the design. That's always a matter of taste. What did we think of the Anatom?
I liked it
really
actually.
cool. Super
Yeah,
cool.
okay.
I was laughing a little bit because I was
Yeah.
thinking about putting a bioceramic swatch into an air fryer. And then it gives you
And then it looks like a
high-tech ceramic.
moon watch. No, it will completely look like
Don't try this at home. Don't try this at home.
It will
Doesn't-
shrink.
Is there
It
anyone
will
in the room?
shrink
I
into,
think I've seen someone with a moon swatch somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
You put it in the air fryer and it comes out looking
Chrome.
like chrome.
Oh,
But
so
watch
sorry
out
about
because
that.
you need a different air fryer for each color.
Oh yeah, that's
Exactly.
also what we learned. That they
So-
have all these different ovens for different colors.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
insane.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So they
very
have
cool
like
stuff.
17 different ovens.
Yeah, for
with the
17
17
different
different colors.
colors. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And then the Anatom, which is truly a cool watch.
Yeah.
It's extremely well fitting on the wrist.
Mhm.
It's a really nice size.
That was my biggest surprise actually,
Yeah.
because it looks like quite a chunky and it's a rectangular watch, so you expect it to fit
It
quite
looks like a 90s
large.
watch. I have a
Almost,
strong,
yeah.
But,
strong
yeah.
90s, early
Yeah.
2000 vibes.
Especially with the colors. with the
yeah,
faded,
but I have to say that the blue and black version was.
I think the blue was our
my,
favorite.
Was my
there was a
favorite.
green and there was a sort of orange reddish version.
Brownish.
but,
Yeah, so the watch is actually black.
Yeah.
And then the dial
Yeah.
is
yeah,
we
and
have
it
some
comes
pictures,
on
right?
a rubber strap. We have a couple
Yeah.
pictures of that people will
Yeah.
be seeing on the screen for those watching on YouTube.
Yeah, very cool.
But yeah, very impressive and yeah, a very very cool.
And
watch.
what I really liked was the clasp as well, because they have
Oh, yeah.
they have a
Yeah.
folding clasp,
adjustment.
and there was a micro adjustment in the clasp that
Okay.
moves with your wrist. So pretty.
Yeah, they had some
really nice.
really cool details.
And
for
I
sure.
think that one is on sale for $37.50.
I didn't
Yeah.
write
Yeah, I
the
think
price down.
37.
No, but it's around that. It's under 4K, and then
Yeah.
what you were saying, Lex, was that it's truly impressive to have that kind of technology, that kind of case for that price. When if
Yeah.
you go looking for that in an Omega, then you're looking at least 20,000.
If
Yeah,
you're looking
12,
for a new
yeah.
blow, it's
well,
even double
yeah,
that price.
exactly.
If you're going to look for an IWC, it's
Absolutely, the Ceratanium watches. I mean, it's
yeah. I think what Rado does with their ceramics is just astonishing.
very impressive, very,
Very
impressive
impressive.
stuff. And then so from Rado, we moved on to Certina.
Tissot.
Tissot.
No,
Tissot.
Tissot.
It was
I think
Tissot,
we
yes.
went to
Tissot, yeah.
Tissot.
Yeah, and for Tissot, we saw some things that we can't talk about, but exciting things to come throughout the summer. We won't say any more, but fans of the PRX will be pleased.
Definitely.
I believe that's as much as we can say. But
No, we
Couldn't
have,
we mention
but there
one?
will be one PRX that we
Mention
can
one,
talk
right?
about,
Yeah, there's
which
one
is a
PRX.
lovely mint green
Yeah.
dial color, mint green turquoise.
Stephanie and Co.
Stephanie dial. Yeah.
Stephanie,
Stephanie
yeah,
and
shout
Co.
out to Studio Underdog for Stephanie Blue, or Stephanie Green. Yeah, so that's nice in the
Yeah.
automatic 40 millimeter
one.
size.
Yeah.
very cool summery color.
Definitely.
To compete there with the ice blue a little bit for that sort of summer
Yeah.
splash of color.
Yeah.
And then we can also then obviously as we saw on your
Yeah,
wrist, we can
that's-
talk
yeah,
about
Yes.
this new
the
Sea
Sea
Star.
Star.
Star, yeah.
Yeah.
So it, once again, it's 40 millimeters.
Yeah.
And it has a Powermatic 80 movement inside.
Yeah.
It
Just
has
12 point something thick.
Yeah.
46 lug to lug. I
Um,
mean,
applied indexes,
Mhm.
loom in the indexes and on the hands, of course.
Mhm.
And it feels really good on the wrist.
Yeah,
especially
I-
on
I-
this.
the
little
you know the
tropic,
thing
it's,
is, I think I like the most standard version
Mhm.
more, And now I see that on your wrist, and I think this is probably nicer,
Yeah,
more
the black
stand
one, yeah.
out, more original.
So the thing is, they all have a bit of a texture on the dial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have some pictures of them that
Yeah.
Morgan took earlier this year. There's a bit of a texture, and then this has obviously a blue sort of fume dial, vignette dial, and then the black one with a steel case
Is a
has
little bit more
it's like
straightforward.
an anthracite,
Yeah.
but kind of also a fume dial.
But more tool watchy. This
yeah.
is a little bit more.
Yeah, this reminds me of a Zodiac that came out either last year or the year before that had a
Zodiac.
ceramic case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a similar colorway, but obviously the standard one, it comes on the bracelet as well, which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
For the sub €1,000 price point, this is
No, and also it has like details on the
Yeah,
side.
there's
it's
lots of
it's
detailing.
brushed.
There's
it's a bit like the
it's-
whole Henrik's, the 3D printed cases with that sort
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost
little
like
bit less, but,
skeletonized lugs, but it's not
What I
that,
really
but,
like is that it's not very cutting corners
No,
type of a
No.
case. Like you don't see the
it's far from standard, right?
yeah, you
It's,
don't see the Excel sheet. Where can we save some money?
Yeah.
It's just a very nicely made.
no, and
design
especially
and,
when you compare it
crafted,
like
case.
at this price to other watches.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Yeah,
worth
definitely.
mentioning that before, only available at 43 millimeters at the
Yeah.
smallest size,
Yeah.
right? So coming down to 40, I mean, that's sweet spot size. 40,
Yeah.
12 point something tall, 12.8 tall, and then 46 lug
Yeah.
to lug. I mean,
Yeah, the
it's-
46 lug to lug makes it wear really, really
For
nicely.
sure,
It's very compact and very
Yeah.
Yeah, very impressive. There were also some MotoGP watches for this year. This year, I believe, is the 75th or 70th or 75th anniversary of MotoGP.
Who's
I
going to
believe
be
that's
world
correct.
champion this year, according to you? What do you think?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm a little bit out of touch. I'm always rooting for the Spaniards. So
Okay.
I don't
Jorge
know
Martin.
if Jorge Martin or
Martin.
I don't know if Maverick Viñales is still racing.
Yeah, he's still. He had a
racing?
very disappointing weekend.
Ah, okay.
Anyway, yeah, I
Okay.
watched the
But,
opening race. I think it's going to be Pecco Bagnaia again. But
Okay.
okay.
We'll
We'll
see.
talk
We'll
about
see,
it no
we'll
more.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those will you will have most likely seen on the website already as well at this point.
And there was the chrono.
Yeah. The
The
PR 156, the
Of course,
with the
yeah.
AO5. What is it? A05. Well, the Valjoux hand wound. Yeah, it had the right thickness for an automatic.
Yes.
you said,
Yeah, but
No, but-
it's a really good looking watch.
Yeah.
It's a good looking
Yeah.
chronograph. It's just below €2,000 at 1,975. There is not a lot wrong with it. The colorway is nice. It has this nice retro vibe, but it still looks very original. Yes, you could say there's a little bit of a Tudor thingy, but then all chronographs have something in common with others. I mean,
Sure.
we'll talk about the Hamiltona later. And,
Exactly. I just like that they made what's clearly sort of like an enthusiast
Yeah,
version of the product
yeah,
beside the quartz.
yeah, because
version.
you
So
can
have
get the quartz
two or
and
three
then,
quartz SKUs,
Yeah,
and then
true.
you obviously have this hand winding
Yeah.
version that's a little bit more true to the original, a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
but still within the
Yeah.
what we see today for
it's nice.
for
It's nice.
mechanical chronographs.
And there's
It's,
no date, so
There you go.
that's easy. So if you don't
looks very
don't wear
organized,
it and it runs out of power, it's fine because you don't have to set the date. So it's also kind of an easygoing thing.
Yeah.
It's nice to look at the movement if you want that.
Yeah.
There's not a lot wrong with that.
No, definitely not.
with
Definitely
that
not.
chronograph.
Yeah.
It's a bit on the bulky side, but it's
Yeah.
not as
But
bulky as
they're
their
all bulky
automatics.
these days. Yeah, that's true. And then we moved on to Certina.
We did.
Yes.
Ah.
And Certina,
lovely,
Alex,
lovely,
you were,
lovely.
for you it was a love
Yeah,
at first
yeah,
sight
yeah.
at the Certina booth.
Yeah, it was no, it was nice. It was nice. I always kind of you remember when I was kind of surprised with that tiny titanium
The
was it
DS Action Diver 38 millimeters titanium. Yeah, I think we all
that-
fell for that,
that
one
was
a little
just stunning.
Yeah. For the price
good,
as well.
Good price, good looks,
Yeah.
great on the wrist, and I have to say that with the GNT, I saw the black and green version. It was on a bracelet, and it was quite hefty. It was a little bit too
Yeah,
much
this looks-
too much steel. But now
looks
when I
lighter,
see
yeah.
this one with this little gold-colored touches,
Looks
I
nice.
think this is an astonishing product.
Yeah.
It's
And-
also technically spot on because, let's be honest, everybody wants a flyer. You don't want an office GMT. Come on,
Caller.
let's.
Yeah. You don't want to be calling. You want to be flying.
You want to be exactly.
Come on.
That's the whole thing, and I think this is amazing.
For sure.
For sure.
I mean, both usable complications and useful complications. Even though we've debated that on the podcast before, but it's you definitely want a flyer, and for the price and for what you get, looking at all the specs, I mean, it's truly hard to find something in the market today that compares with it. Even though in aesthetics,
I didn't get the luck to look.
I have the luck to
Uh-huh.
look, but in aesthetics, because obviously here we're looking at everything in Swatch Group below Longines.
Yeah.
And so this is
I-
obviously that just to address the elephant in the room before I give you
The
that lug to
Spirit.
lug. It looks a bit like the Spirit, right?
Yeah, it does.
But we always thought that the Spirit had a little bit of a busy dial with the 5 stars,
Exactly.
and these like just the dual tiered dial and everything. And this kind of does away with it all and creates this very like simple take. Obviously, then the gold here is PVD; it's not solid gold.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, for the price, it's less than
Exactly.
half of,
It looks the part.
of what the Longines cost, and
Yeah.
the specs are there,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. What is interesting is now, of course, there's also with the flyer GMT movement that they now have within the Swatch Group because of ETA, of course, is that you can also get a Mido with this
true,
movement. So now you can see more and more Swatch Group GMT watches with the updated movement. And
Yeah, Mido wasn't here.
no,
Mido didn't make it.
no.
Flight got cancelled. So this is 41
KLM
millimeters.
never disappoints.
KLM. Oh man. 13.8 millimeters thick.
Yeah.
Which is pretty reasonable.
Yeah, that I have.
20 millimeter lugs,
Yes.
which is nice, and a lug to lug of 49, which is
Ooh, that's
it's,
quite long.
It's a little bit.
It's a good thing I have such massive wrists.
It's enormous,
Nice, but it-
famously.
I wouldn't say so though.
Yeah.
No,
Doesn't
but it
look
is
like
quite
it.
long.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look crazy
It was
long.
measured with
No.
my extremely
Plastic
cheap
calipers.
travel
So it's
caliper, so
probably
it
47.
might be somewhere, just give or take
Nah,
a,
but it looks
a
really good.
fraction
Yeah.
of a millimeter.
Yeah, it's
But,
good.
yeah,
We also
definitely
saw
a
the
good one.
DS1 day date, a
Yes.
40 millimeter
Yeah.
dress watch.
Mhm.
Of that, that's by the way that with it's 20 millimeter lugs as well.
Mhm.
47 millimeter lug to lug. That's one I noted.
nice.
860 euros. You get this very classic
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
watch.
I liked the one that had the sort of because it's a day date in that sort of 12 and 3
yeah.
configuration. I like the one that had a sort of whitish silver dial with
Yeah.
with almost like a golden
Yeah.
Yeah.
half circle or
Inlay
or,
or,
classic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really
step
nice.
in a dial.
For sure.
Yeah.
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 Could be neat at a slightly smaller size point. But who
Would be
knows?
a good
Maybe-
idea.
Maybe we'll see it sometime in the future. Who knows? Yeah, perfect. So that was that'll do for Certina. I think
Yeah.
we also had other watches coming in the future, different takes on watches we've already seen. It was also nice to see not to talk about the specifics of this one because I do believe it'll be under embargo.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
it
think
is.
so.
Yeah, I have
but we
some
got to
stuff
see
under
we got to
embargo
see
here as
the
well, yeah.
DS1000 in person. That was one that came out late last year, I believe, in this limited edition orange callback to the past. And seeing that in person was really nice. The form factor of that one is excellent. Really cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. And after
Impressive one.
Certina,
That was the
Hamilton,
Hamilton.
right?
that was the
Yeah.
and in Hamilton, we also saw a few things that we won't mention because they come out in the future.
I saw Elvis.
You saw Elvis?
I
Yeah,
saw
you
Elvis.
saw Elvis. Elvis
The
already.
Ventura.
Elvis was already launched many years ago. It was discontinued, but now has made a comeback with his blue suede shoes. Which was very cool. We saw obviously the Dune watches that were featured on the website, but always cool to see those in person. The two digital. They're also Ventura models,
Are they?
technically.
Yeah,
They
there
have
was a
the
sign saying
shield.
Ventura.
Yeah, so they're Ventura models. One of them with the
Very
digital display, which is LCD and LED.
Yeah.
believe, and you click the button, it lights
It's
up.
really
Very
nice.
impressive.
When it lights up, you have the skeletonized numerals. It's
yeah.
really, really
And
cool.
obviously, they're based on. You probably have seen it more if you've seen Dune 1. This shield,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this doohickey device, something or other that the characters have, which protects them, and that was designed for the movie. And then these watches are inspired by this gizmo. By the characters.
Gizmo.
and then yeah, of course we saw the khaki
you're-
aviation models,
Yeah.
which had also been released earlier this year in I believe 2 different sizes.
Yeah, 40.
42, I
Two
believe this
and
is.
38.
Maybe 3 different sizes, or just 2 different sizes.
I think 2.
Maybe just 2. No, there was a smaller one.
Oh, a
believe.
34 one.
I think. I
The-
don't know, but yeah, these are great. They're
The white
they're,
one.
They're.
I didn't read. I was.
the
looking at
silvery-
something-
No,
yeah.
the one, those ones were all 38. And there was a gold PVD coated one.
Yeah.
Which was
Yeah, which I thought was
quite
bronze,
nice.
but was
Yeah,
was
it was,
gold
gold
PVD with a
PVD.
sort of a blue dial
Yeah.
and a sort of a pale pink strap.
But those look nice.
Yeah. Very, very cool. And more from that line coming up later this year with an exciting collaboration, but lips are sealed for now.
Yeah.
And then we got to see something from the Jazzmaster collection,
Mhm.
which I believe will be the most recently released models that we'll talk about. And I believe these were they were 34 millimeter sort of ladies / unisex models.
I really like
on the
the-
bracelet.
I like the look of those.
Yeah, they were cool. They
They-
had a
you-
bit of an OP kind of thing, but then
Very OP.
extra details on the bezel, which was nice. And yeah,
And yeah, they took, yeah, of
Good
course
colours.
they said good colors, but
Yeah.
they said they struggled or had a hard time reaching for the lady because they're more of a male orientated brand. But I thought those watches
Colours look
almost
nice.
like a no nonsense kind of
Yeah.
stylish, sophisticated, sporty
Yeah.
ladies watch. I really like the
for
look
sure.
of those.
And then obviously, as with just about everything we saw today, powered by the workhorse that is the Powermatic 80.
Yeah, but
movement,
that's good,
which
right?
might be the H10 in the Hamilton
Yeah.
universe. But it's it's just it's a great movement. You know, just 80 hours of power reserve, automatic winding,
Yeah.
super serviceable.
Yes,
It's,
exactly. It's
Yeah.
I think it's one of the USPs of these of the Swatch Group brands
Yeah, for
we've
sure.
seen here is that you get just really good movement.
And they don't call it in-house themselves, but they own the brand. So I mean,
It's in group.
in-group.
But I
In-group
have to say,
movement.
other than the movement, also the bracelets here look really good.
Yeah.
The bracelets look
True.
good. The clasps, especially
on
for
the,
Hamilton.
and also on the clasp, the folding clasp on the Rado, you also
Yeah.
were very impressed
They're
with.
at this price. I think they're really good.
Is that that's probably also the power of the group you
Yeah.
see.
Exactly. Yeah.
They can
You get a lot of value within this sort of price point, and
Yeah.
it's really, really good stuff. And from Hamilton, we also saw a new take on the chronograph that we saw, I believe, introduced last year in 2 colors. You said the nickname.
Yeah,
the
well, we
nickname,
heard the nickname. I never
yeah.
heard the nickname, and I think it's a horrible nickname, Hamilton. But it's horrible.
But it's a good looking
No, but
watch.
it's a good looking watch. No, definitely a good looking watch.
Yeah.
I prefer of course there was there's a version with a non-black, like a full steel bezel, and I like
That's
I
the
like
new one,
steel
the
bezel. The
steel
new one
bezel.
is
Yeah, and
sort
it's
of
the
light
light
blue.
blue dial.
so
yeah.
it does have a little bit of that vintage Daytona vibe, definitely.
Yeah.
But it also has the date at 4:30, so there was maybe you can also say, oh, it's like it looks a little bit like the new Zenith Chronomaster Sport in
Oh, yeah.
titanium,
True.
but this is much friendlier priced, of course.
Yes.
Everything we saw today.
The clasp is better.
Yeah.
Than the new than the Chronomaster Sport.
Right.
Really,
No, it's true.
really better. Much better. So no, come on. Incredible.
it's
It's
Yeah. It's true that the Zenith clasp is a little bit. You have to. Yeah,
well,
it's a bit
first of
fiddly.
all, you can't open it, and
This one
then
has
of
the push
course
button.
there's not even a push button, and this one is you can open it because they have made a little
It's a little bit more
for your
ergonomic,
finger to
yeah.
wiggle in, and then it
for sure.
the build quality is just better, even though that is probably also stamped.
Yeah, probably. It
the
could
one
be
on the
milled.
Hamilton
Could be
actually,
milled.
I think is milled.
Oh, okay.
At least it feels very solid.
Yeah, it's So
That's the
just to-
difference from Hamilton from the other brands, because the other brands were, I think, all
I think
standard.
on the
Yeah.
But the
on the
Hamiltons
Certina I
were,
was stamped.
yes.
So going around the table, what would
Mm.
you say was your highlight?
Yeah, well, I'm wearing it.
Well, it's
Yeah,
clearly
no,
for
no,
you,
really,
it's
no.
the-
I'm
the Certina DS
yeah,
Action
it's
GMT.
just it has the looks, it has the price, and the thing is, maybe Certina is not the most catchy name. It's not the biggest name, but the thing is, if you dive into the history of Certina and their double security system and blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and it's actually it's a well established Swiss brand, and I think they're doing good stuff.
For sure. As we know from Henry's article a
Oh.
few weeks ago,
Yeah.
they're the brand that co-signed a mission for a man to ski down Everest.
Yeah, the lunatics.
Yeah. Or at least in the 70s, they were
Yeah.
conducive to the projects of of complete.
No, but it's so it's definitely a brand that needs or deserves at least a little bit more attention.
Absolutely.
This one's really nice.
They
How
keep
about-
surprising me.
Definitely. What was the highlight for you? Dan?
Well, actually, it's the Sea Star from
Okay.
Tissot, the one I'm wearing as well. Because I've never really looked at this model actually, because it was only
They were too
available
big.
in
It's
43.
so
So
blasé as well.
for me, it was too much. But yeah, this looks. I'm not especially a fan of the dials, like the fume dials.
Mhm.
But I think if you get this one with a more normal.
It doesn't even look. I don't think it looks out of place on the.
No,
on
no,
the
no,
watch
no,
like
no,
this.
not
subtle
especially
enough.
not on the black one. But
Yeah.
no, like for the price, the watch fits really well and offers you 300 meters of water resistance as well, with 12.5 millimeters thickness. I think it's really well done. Even the date window matches with the dial in the color.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's really good.
Agree.
Very nice. Yeah, I have to
And
say,
yours?
I maybe obviously agreeing with you two guys on these two releases, but I have to say also seeing the Hamilton aviation models again, it was really nice to see them and to try them on. I had seen them earlier or at the end of last year, and very quickly had a brief preview. But actually spending a little bit of time with them now, I can say that really good watches. But I was also just impressed by that Rado. I have to say
Yeah.
that's on
Yeah.
the upper price point here.
Mhm.
But I have to say that was really impressive, and I was impressed by the Diastar that we saw a while back. But then I have to say this one in ceramic with that very unique sort of futuristic look, it was really good stuff.
Yeah.
But I think all in all, it's been great releases
Absolutely.
that we could talk about.
Interesting.
There's some more to come that we haven't been able to
Yeah.
discuss today. but
And
I
there's
think
some
it's,
interesting watches in the future.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And kudos to these brands for obviously keeping the prices at a time where it feels like prices can't do
Yeah.
anything
Everything
but
goes up,
grow.
yeah.
These brands have been doing a great job in sort of keeping everything
Mhm.
fair and interesting
Yeah.
and affordable for enthusiasts and the wider watch
Yeah.
buying public
True.
as a whole. So
Definitely.
very very cool stuff. Fantastic. Well, yeah, thank you guys for joining me for this discussion
absolutely.
and special on location episode, and thank you for all the Swatch Group brands for showing us all the lovely new watches.
Yes, it was a
Fantastic.
pleasure.
And thank you for tuning in. So as always, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and tune in next week for another episode of Fratello Talks. See you then.